A man who finds comfort and affection in his mistress instead of his wife has already lost interest in his marriage. Bhadman is a husband who shows little care or kindness to his wife, mistreating her even while she carries his child. Their 5-year marriage, blessed with 1 child, began not out of love but obligation after he got her pregnant and her father forced him to marry her. A marriage born out of pressure may last in years, but it often starts in affection. Blinded by love, she gave her heart to Bhadman, unaware that his interest ended at desire. When pregnancy led to marriage, she thought she'd found happiness, not knowing she was stepping into a life of unending pain. She was too tired to cook for her husband, and in anger, he mistreated her, causing pain to her unborn child, while she rolled on the bed, crying out from the agony she felt. When love turns into punishment, the heart learns that not every union is a blessing. Realizing his wife's condition is worsening, and she might pass on without medical help, he drags her from the bed, and without the slightest sign of care or remorse, coldly leads her out of the room. A few hours later, they return from the hospital, the wife in tears, devastated by the news that she has lost her pregnancy as a result of her husband's cruelty. She slowly sinks onto the couch, her body trembling with pain and her face drenched in tears from the loss of her unborn child, while her husband, unmoved and cold, sits beside her sipping his drink without a trace of remorse. Her tears begged for comfort, but his silence proved that love had long left their home. Without any regard for her pain or emotions, he begins shouting at her, demanding that she stop crying and keep quiet about the loss of their child in his presence. He coldly announces that he has an important meeting to attend and moves toward the door. In tears, she hurries after him, trying to stop him from leaving, but he immediately warns her not to come to him. She ignores his coldness and moves closer, begging him to stay with her as she mourns, but he shoves her aside and sternly warns her never to try stopping him again. Through her reckless pregnancy with Bhadman and her father's insistence on marriage to conceal the shame, she is being condemned to endure a life of pain called marriage. When love is forced and choices are stolen, marriage becomes a cage, not a blessing. Bhadman left his grieving wife alone in the house, tears streaming down her face, while he sought comfort in the arms of his mistress, selfishly pursuing his own pleasure. Before marriage, he lived a promiscuous lifestyle, and despite the lady hoping to secure his devotion through pregnancy, he still refused to change his ways. 3 days later, his wife sits on the couch, questioning why her husband finds her so unattractive and refuses to love her, despite all the ways she has shown her love for him. When they first met, he overwhelmed her with affection and care, making her fall in love, while his real motive was nothing more than satisfying his own lust. The door opens, and Bhadman walks in. She rises and approaches him with arms wide open for a hug, but he steps back, clearly avoiding any contact with her. She expresses her frustration at his refusal to accept her hug, telling him she's willing to start anew in their marriage, while still reaching out in an attempt to pull him close. Bhadman harshly warns her to stay away, treating her as worthless as usual, and when she tries to hug him, he grabs her hand and forcefully throws her onto the couch. Love is patient, but even the most patient heart aches when its affection is denied. Realizing his wife is in need of love and attention, he leaves the house, abandoning her to wallow alone in her loneliness. With love absent from the marriage and her needs consistently ignored, Bhadman's wife decides to pack her bags and leave, seeking peace and happiness elsewhere. 4 months following his wife's departure from the marriage and his house, Bhadman lost his job due to his reckless and promiscuous behavior. His wife's absence from the house gave him so much freedom that he began living like a bachelor, with no friend or family to restrain his indulgence. A man who lives without rules is setting himself on a path to destruction. From a rich man to a poor man in 4 months, and with no money left, while in desperate need of comfort and affection, he decides to visit his mistress, seeking solace in her arms. Bhadman is surprised to be received with indifference and a complete lack of warmth from his mistress. After revealing that he was broke and seeking comfort without giving anything in return, she instantly lost all interest in him. She believes that love should not exist without money, and since Bhadman is broke, he no longer deserves any affection from her. Where love depends on wealth, it is never real. True affection asks for nothing in return. Bhadman insists on pursuing intimacy, arguing that the bond and love they once shared shouldn't be measured by money, reminding her that he always fulfilled her needs when he was wealthy. Real love is measured by the heart, not by the size of one's wallet. 3 days later, Bhadman sits on his couch, lost in thought about how badly his life has unraveled, and how he will manage to pay off all his mounting debts. A knock on the door jolts him back to awareness, leaving him wondering who the visitor could be, as he hasn't had anyone at his home since his recent setback. He approaches the door, opens it, and is immediately filled with happiness upon seeing who has come. He steps forward to hug her warmly, but she immediately pulls away, giving him the same cold, distant reception he once showed her when she lived with him. When love is served on a cold plate, no amount of feeling can make it warm. His ex-wife had returned from her travels overseas, now far wealthier than Bhadman ever was, and she came back solely to pick up their child, as it was clear her father couldn't properly raise her. Bhadman kneels before her, desperately asking for forgiveness for his past actions and pleading to be accepted back as her husband. Now in a position to be heard, a position she never had with him, his wife angrily expresses her frustration over their past marriage and declares that she will not endure such tragedy again. Sensing from her tone that some love still lingers for him within her, he lies, claiming that he has changed and become a disciplined new person. Upon hearing his claim of change, the lady feels a quiet joy, having never stopped loving him, and agrees to return to the house as his wife. Blind love can lead the heart into danger before the mind even knows. That same night, Bhadman's wife lay beside him thinking he was asleep like her, unaware that he was only pretending to sleep. He opens his eyes and slowly puts on his glasses, then carefully sits up, making sure not to wake his wife from sleep. During her stay overseas, his wife had acquired substantial property worth millions of dollars, and after their reconciliation, she transferred ownership to him as a sign of respect. He then recalls that he feels no love for her and unwilling to return the property she had given him through their union. He resolves to take her life and keep the wealth for himself. Wealth gained through blood is a curse, not a blessing, for no riches can redeem a shattered conscience. He picks up the pillow and coldly unmoved creeps toward his wife, his thoughts consumed by the wealth he will gain once she is gone. He covers her face with the pillow and strangles her, claiming both her life and her wealth in one dark night. This is a lesson to everyone. Greed and selfishness can destroy lives. Pursuing wealth at the expense of morality can lead to irreversible tragedy. True love cannot exist where respect is absent. A relationship built on manipulation, deceit, or control is doomed to fail. Blind trust can be dangerous. Giving all your love or resources to someone without knowing their true character can have devastating consequences. Material wealth cannot replace integrity. No amount of money is worth compromising one's conscience or humanity. Thank you for watching this video. Please share this video and comment where you are watching from.